if y'all would like to speak, you please, I've got some comments boards right here at the pen. If you'll fill those out, just leave them. I'll be sitting right here. If you just leave it with me, I'll pass them to the acting chair.
Oh, I have a pen this week. Thank you. You can see.
I'm gonna put her on Zoom. While I get actress chair, Joan's gonna be on Zoom, but she's trying to call me. Hi, Joan. That Zoom invite? Yeah, if worst comes to worst, I can just, my phone picks up really well, and I can just have you on speakerphone too, if you have your agenda in front of you. Okay, I will do that right now. Okay, I'll do it right now. All right, talk to you later. Bye. Hey, Rich.
Hey, Danny,
How
how are you?
man? Take a seat anywhere you like.
I don't know what agenda item it is.
Yeah, you're the only agenda.
The only agenda.
You're
Well,
good. Thanks, Mark.
That's not so good to hear.
Could be good.
Hey, John.
Or not. I don't know.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Certainly didn't plan on anything like this.
Yeah.
You hadn't been in the shop today, have you?
No.
A little chilly for the shop, isn't it?
Yeah. I, decided I didn't wanna run the heater yet, so.
Have you guys finished the background at the church?
Yeah. Yeah, we finished that, we got the soundboard desk all finished up, the projector, that's kind of a shelf that mounts up on the wall.
Right.
That done. And the last thing we gotta get done is the drum pit.
Oh,
The
okay.
plexiglass
Yes,
screen
yes.
and stuff in front of it. And,
That kept you busy for a while.
yeah, well,
I think it is.
2 months here anyway,
That's good.
but it's good. I
That
told
background was a lot of work, huh?
Yeah.
Cutting all those are all individual pieces?
Yeah. Somebody suggested that we
Hey, Wiley,
have a
how are
little
you?
contest.
You can see, I've kind of
get
got
people
set
guess how many blocks of wood there
center
are.
aisle, but I've laid down.
You got an idea how many are up there?
I've
We
laid out
counted
these,
them.
procedures, you
That
know.
looked like a lot from the
this is
picture.
some extra- Anyway, that's probably the thing, but I laid it out
Just a little
everywhere,
shy
so
of
you can pick your
4,000.
seat anywhere you wanna be.
That
Appreciate
took
you
a lot
doing
of
that.
That's a lot of
time.
cars.
colder out there now
than it was. I'll bet it
friend of
is.
mine loaned and I'd work on one until the saw got too hot.
Pull it out again.
Switch over to the other
Oh,
one.
geez.
Hey, Wiley, how are you? We knew Jacob was in the hospital.
No.
gonna ask you how. He had,
Hey, how are you?
appendicitis
Here's our
last
speaker card,
week.
Ian right there, just leave it with me, I'll make sure.
Yeah, and then
Wiley's
they-
gonna be acting chairperson.
They found out today that,
Do you have a
during the
quorum?
operation, they punctured his bladder.
Oh.
So it was draining into
Oh.
his
Well, I will.
abdomen.
That's not a good thing.
No,
I'm confident.
and,
But didn't someone else have the same surgery right before him?
just
I've-
Asbill,
Okay.
the youngest
Yeah.
Asbill boy, they had back-to-back surgeries, so.
Baker was telling me about that.
Yeah. Yeah, Jacob's had a rough go of it, I
I
think.
bet. Yeah.
I missed that, what is he in the hospital for?
Well, he had appendicitis last week,
Good.
and he had an appendectomy, like at 3 o'clock in the morning last Thursday. And he got out, they sent him home on Friday, and over the weekend, he just didn't get a whole lot better, and his abdomen started swelling, and he was having a real hard time going to the bathroom and everything, and went back up last night, and they ran a dye test and found out during the operation, they punctured his bladder. And, it has been draining into his abdomen, so.
That'll get you some infection pretty quick.
Yeah, well, they thought it was one of two things, punctured bladder, or the staple on where they removed the appendix, put a staple in, had come loose. And of those two, puncturing the bladder is better.
Is a better deal, okay.
Yeah, less infection.
Okay, less of that nasty stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Nobody ever wants to sit
Well,
in
I'm
the
sorry
front
for
row.
that.
I was gonna sit
Yeah,
there. I always do sit in the front row, but I was gonna sit by you.
They
Well,
told
that
me
was
there
a
were-
student,
Yeah,
never bothers
two
me to
options.
sit in the front. I
They
always
can
sat
go
in the
in.
back. Oh, do you really? Yeah.
Stitch up the
I was
bladder.
the opposite. I was always
Which is
afraid
not
that they
real
would
invasive surgery.
call on me.
Oh,
I didn't want to
Go
call on.
back into
Oh, you
the
did?
positions that
They-
they
they're
were
used
in.
to it.
Yeah, in the front row.
Yeah.
My position was always, I wanted to
If
sit
you want to sit right up here, yeah.
Or just keep the bladder.
If you sit right here, that
raised
means you're
and
charged
it'll
of running
heal
the
on its
recorder.
own.
Not gonna sit there then.
So,
What you gonna do?
I should have told you that.
I don't know. They haven't made it.
I don't, that second one, there's some other things involved there that
Oh,
I'm
there
not
had to
thinking
help
like.
there too? Yeah,
That's
I
kind of
ran
my
home
opinion,
early, I
too. I
had
think
enough
he's
time
better
to run
off
home and
if
put them in,
just
cause it's so cold. Good, yeah.
Go back in and
Fix it.
fix it, and recovery will be a lot quicker.
Yeah, I would.
At the clinic.
I
Yeah.
mean, I get it, I get
Yeah,
trying to
I had
avoid
friends
that.
come, they did that
I'm
today.
thinking,
I know,
that means it's gonna go out, and I don't think I wanna deal with it.
Yeah, that's the way I am, but I'm letting Chris and Kim
There
say.
you go, I hear you, I hear you.
Two more days of this cold stuff, can you believe it? Hard to believe, we don't usually get too many days in a row. I know, and we had, I think my phone was somewhere, they were calling me. I know, but I think we're so desperate for moisture, it doesn't matter what kind we get. I know it. I'll put up with the cold as long as it's wet. And Colorado's burning, and I guess. I know. It's absolutely awful, I can't believe it. All those western and northern states are burning. From us, and we're getting, I know. Because of their bad planning, we're suffering. Makes no sense.
I grew up in Colorado, and they always said if you're gonna live in the mountains,
Mhm.
it's not a matter of if, but when.
But when,
You have
I know,
fires,
I know.
you know.
Yeah. We've got friends who had friends who lived in
Estes, they evacuated.
Yeah,
Estes.
and that's what I was gonna say. They evacuated. And
But
she
I think it got missed, I think most of it.
Oh, did it? And this was like, what, 2 days ago or something?
There you are, can you hear me?
Friday, like on Friday.
Okay, perfect.
She was, my friend was upset because,
Oh, I don't think you'll mind, unless you're gonna do some vacuuming, you wanna do some vacuuming, you wanna work?
Yeah, they're nice ones.
type thing,
I wouldn't
and,
worry about it.
they had to leave.
And the firemen
got
always
me
tell
going
people,
here. I'm gonna turn you around.
Put a tree
Yeah.
around it,
Huh?
but people want to live under the canopy, I mean, that's part of the.
That's part of the, yeah.
Yeah.
Cause they actually
Well,
have trees there.
My son mows
But
for
it
Chris,
makes
and
it
all you have to do
hard
is
for
just
the
squint your eyes,
firefighters
everybody
to
thinks you're smiling.
defend
Well, I
it.
squint
Yeah,
your eyes, look
yeah.
at
They'll
the
try,
glare,
but if
so.
there's too many trees, it just
I'm gonna turn you around.
Tree to
so you
tree,
can see
that's
the
right.
gallery.
That's right, and then those embers and stuff all on those roofs, and
Yeah.
there it goes.
It's all so dry, it's so dry there. Like here, it is like here.
You
Yeah.
can Mary Ellen's feet, that's about all. But there you go.
Well, I got cute boots on.
She's well known for her footwear.
That's right, I'm known for my footwear, and this is just, I hadn't worn it since last year, so.
Alright, let's see if that'll work.
Oh, this is our stay away. We have to stand right there.
See if they want the agenda, they'll be over here. My computer. How are you? Good.
Just say excuse.
Yeah, just-
Have a seat anywhere. Feel comfortable. Right there's a really good spot. I'll tell you why when you sit down.
Oh, you're on camera.
If you get to hit the record button when we start the meeting.
Oh, perfect.
Really. Well, we do have a quorum. Joan is here on the Zoom, so she can hopefully hear and see what's going on, but we have a quorum with the four of us, so.
Yes.
You're a meeting.
Okay, well, since we have a quorum, we'll call this meeting to order.
Yeah.
Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting? Is there any additions or corrections to them? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did you raise your hand, Joan? Still over.
Okay, the next item is to consider and take appropriate action on a variance request to allow an 8x20 shipping container detached accessory building to be used as a home office in the rear yard of 18 Jennywood Circle. So,
Mark this is Mark Gilbert. He's here as a petitioner in the Maryland grant. And Dory over here.
okay. So I'm kind of new at the chair. I'm not sure. Danny, do you present the city?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Mr. Gilbert has put I'm not sure, it's a storage container in his backyard. He hasn't complied with all the issues we need with building permits, such as wind load and engineering and proper placement of it. But I asked him before he moved forward with that, because the issue before this body, the zoning issue before this body is he's wanting to use it as an office. As you guys see in your memo, an accessory building couldn't be used as a home office. You know, we have certain home occupations that can be used as accessory buildings, but the home office would comply as a home occupation, as you see in the memo. However, it'd have to be inside the house. So that's the issue before the board. It's not whether or not he can use it as an accessory building, but it is the question whether or not he can use it as an office. I've looked through the ordinance repeatedly, and I find nothing. As long as he can meet the wind loads of our building code and proper setbacks and foundations. We have no restrictions for it being used as an accessory building as outlined for storage, etc. For a home office, it's prohibited by our code. So that's his request today, is to whether or not he can use it as a home office.
Okay.
He can probably give me more details to the planning board.
Okay. Mr. Gurlick, would you like to go ahead and
Sure.
speak to the matter, please?
You bet. No, the home office is that's not what I plan on using it for. I do plan on working out there some, but we're iron workers. My three biggest customers are Phillips 66, Pantex, and Texas Tech. They're not coming to my They're not coming to a shed in my backyard. It's a place where I can go out there and do work. It's also a place where I can, whenever we moved into town, I had a 4-car shop and a workshop and everything, and we moved into town, and it's got a 2-car garage, and I don't have anywhere for any of my stuff. So, I can do my stuff out there. It's it's a man cave thing. Home office, yes, I do plan on working out there, but not conducting business, not having customers, anything like that. So that's, you know, I'm sure I've told them that, but it's a home office. My office is in downtown Amarillo, and there are some Saturdays and Sundays I like to do some work and not go into downtown. So in my house, there's not a place for that. So that's all it is. But it's not a business.
Now, when you say do work out there, is it office type work, or is it more shop type work?
Shop type work, but the stuff I'm talking about would be, you know, strategic planning, that sort of thing. I can't do that in my office with people coming in my downtown office with people coming in all the time. So I like to buy old buildings and restore them. That's kind of a side deal that I do. And so, you know, with the employees I've got, I don't have a whole lot of time to do that down there. So that's what I like to do on the weekends. But yes, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there will be business there. You know, I'll have a laptop and that, but it's not it's not an address for a business, and it's nothing like that.
So just to clarify, you're not gonna have individuals coming to your home to offer business, is that correct? Is what it boils down to?
No,
Okay,
I don't want
perfect.
people in my backyard.
Yeah.
There'll be an office for your use only.
Yes, I don't want people in my yard. That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
At all.
I'm using more of a study.
Yes.
Essentially for the.
Yes. Yes.
Detached from home.
Yes, keep my tools out there. Right now, my tools are scattered because I don't have anywhere for them.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Danny, if he were to set this up where it was nice for an office, for what he plans to use it for, and then he sells his home, and somebody else moves in there and starts using it for an office, what's to stop that?
Well, that variance is directed to him, but I think it would be, that's a good question. If somebody else moves in, and that may have to come back for you guys as another variance if we're even aware that happens.
Yeah, if they would come to us, but they wouldn't have to.
Yeah, that may not be the case.
I think, how are you gonna heat this building?
Just run power up.
Okay, I didn't know if you're gonna use like,
Yeah.
I was concerned about a wood burning stove out there or
No.
something like that could end up causing a fire later on, would be my biggest concern anyway.
No, just run power up there and have a little window unit.
Okay.
Would you still want this building if you didn't have internet access to it?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. You bet. Yes, ma'am.
And your business requires internet access, right, for a laptop or computer?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, I do have a question. These pictures that you provided for us, you know, you look at them, they don't really look like trailer type thing, like when I first read this and thought it was just gonna be you have plans, or is it gonna look like this?
My certainly didn't plan on causing this big of a step whenever I moved it down there. So.
Now, is it painted currently, or is it to be painted? Or?
Yes, it's currently painted, but it's, my wife expects me to do a lot more to it.
Okay.
Make it nice. The inside's finished out already, and it's nice, but I didn't want to do anything else if I needed to haul it off and take it down to the range. So-
Correct. I'm just,
Yes.
me personally wouldn't concern me, but I know some of my neighbors are very picky. I mean, I had my travel trailer parked inside of my house for 2 days, and I was getting a phone call immediately, so people are very,
I understand that, yes.
they just wanna make
I'm
sure
not-
that their homes don't lose value,
Yeah.
you know.
And we're certainly not trying to do anything like that.
Correct.
Yes.
If somebody came and wanted to just put a storage unit in their backyard, what is allowed in this neighborhood for a storage unit, and does this meet the restrictions for it?
We don't enforce the deed restrictions. I'm not aware of what the deed restrictions are out there. I can tell you that the city code is pretty limited on what's being allowed. It merely has to meet the setbacks, size, maximum 1,200 square foot. Has to be 10 feet from the house and 3 feet from the side and rear property lines. Of course, in this case, it's also gonna have to have some engineering to go along with it to document that it's gonna meet our wind load and our snow load, so it won't collapse or blow away. But beyond that, we don't have any true aesthetic design requirements for a storage building in the rear yard. It does have to meet those setbacks. And maximum height requirements, we have a maximum 16-foot sidewall height requirement. And only one, the building cannot exceed 1,200 square foot. And if there can only be one such building over 200 square foot in the backyard, so it does limit those. And also, it limits the structures in the back half of the lot to 50% coverage. Most of our limitations are on height, size of the building, and lot coverage, not particularly aesthetics or looks.
Okay.
But it does specifically mention what's allowed in an accessory building, and home office is not mentioned as allowed use.
How tall is your fence, Mark?
We have a 6-foot fence on one side and then 8-foot.
Yep.
8-foot fence on between us and the range.
Doug, is there any more questions? Mark, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Mary Ellen, would you like
Yes,
to?
sir. Mary Ellen Bryant, and I live at 58 Chinkywood. My understanding of what this board stands for is that the person comes up and has a variance request, it must be some sort of a hardship, correct? That's what I'm always understood that this board is for. Well, in my understanding or my opinion of what Mr. Gilbert wants to do, he doesn't have a hardship. He has a beautiful home, and the other thing that concerns me about this is that he does not, it doesn't meet the variance that is set forth by the city. His request doesn't. He didn't get a permit to begin with. He put the building in there, and now he's asking for a variance. Okay, he should have done it the other way around, because I feel like if he'd have sought a permit, he wouldn't have gotten it, because it doesn't meet. So that's what I'm concerned about, is that if he granted a variance, he didn't have a hardship. Okay? The other thing, he says, he told me to my face in my driveway that he was going to use it as a home office, his commercial home office. Well, that's changed. And so now he's saying that he's going to use it sometimes and that kind of stuff. Joan had a good question. What if he sells the home? And if the city has no aesthetic limitations on it, or are we going to get an ugly storage container? It's a shipping storage container is what it is. And does it devalue Dory's property? Does it devalue mine? We think it does. So, you know, there's a lot of things that are going on here that I feel like he should not be granted the variance. We're the homeowners involved. And where he has that building, that shipping storage container set now, it's a 6-foot fence, and I can see it. And that area out there is beautiful. The building does not fit. I don't know if anybody drove by there to look at it, but it doesn't fit. And I looked on here, and almost everyone that sent in their paperwork opposes it. Okay, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. I'm sorry. He can do all he wants to it, but it does not fit. And before you grant the variance, if you're going to, I'd invite you to go look at that before you do that. And Dory's here, she's a neighbor, and she's in opposition of it too. There's a lot of people that are. And if it's going to be allowed back there, it doesn't need all as a commercial office building, because that's what he said he was going to do with it.
Never said commercial office.
Or office building, that's what he said he was
Never
going to use
said
it as.
that.
I'm speaking, sir. If you
Yes,
don't-
you're right.
okay, you don't mind. It doesn't meet ADA compliancy. And is he gonna have? Are y'all going to require him to have a parking lot, the way office buildings have? And does it meet electrical and plumbing codes? You asked about that. Well, what if he just hooks up a wire to it, or whatever he does? I mean, you know, is he endangering me? I mean, it's going to catch fire. And the other thing I'm concerned about is the alley. Alleys are designated for only emergency vehicles. And there is a gate that is a very short path to the front door of this building that he's proposing to put in. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to look at that building. I feel like it devalues my property, and I'm in opposition of it. And so that's where I stand. And when I always thought that this board was all about, you know, if a person has a hardship, then certainly look at allowing a variance. But in this case, I don't feel that he does. Thank you.
Okay, Dory, would you like to?
Sure. I don't have a whole lot to add to Mary. This is difficult for me because I don't want there to be ill will in the neighborhood, and this is my next door neighbor, and but where it was originally placed is right up against my fence, and like the air conditioner actually like hangs over the fence, and so that was my initial concern. I am kind of a person who would just sort of like to live and let live, but when you look at it, when you walk all around, you know, Hunsley Hills and in our neighborhood in particular, there's nothing like that there at all. If it's placed in the position that the variance would allow, and the storage shed is removed, it will be far more visible both to me and from the street. And it just looks like an industrial shipping container that's basically on a cargo train, and it doesn't look like it fits in the neighborhood. But aesthetic-wise, you know, everybody has their own taste, so I don't know if we can oppose it because of that. But ultimately, what made me come here today was my sister just bought a house a year ago, and she said, I looked at several houses, and if I went out in my backyard and I saw something like that, it was like, oh heck no, I don't want to buy this house. And being that I'm right next door, I don't have any plans to sell, but at some point, if I wanted to sell, the value of my home, I would be afraid would be diminished because of it. And that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
And don't worry, there's no hard feelings. I promise you.
Thanks, Mark.
Don't worry about it. Just help me find my dog.
I've helped you find your cat before.
Yeah, you helped me find my cat. Yeah.
Sydney,
Yes, ma'am.
did we get any other, responses other than the ones that we're looking at? Did we get any?
In your packet, that's all the responses we received.
So we had several opposed and only one for?
Correct.
Okay.
Keep in mind, You know, and I apologize to everybody, we don't have more aesthetic things in, the regulations in our zoning ordinance, but this, you can use that in a home office. Because if he placed that, like I said, correctly and met the spacing and setbacks, there's nothing in the ordinance that states that there's a shipping container cannot be used as long as it meets the building codes, the wind loads, snow loads, and the setbacks I mentioned, so, it's about an office place, and that kind of gets the concerns of it.
Okay, so the home office is what we're addressing.
Correct.
And the placement is not placed within the setbacks?
At this point, it's not. The setback, the side plan he sent you guys in the packet that you see is not where it sits now. Somebody mentioned that, it's gonna have to be, if it's moved and set in a place where it'd be allowed, it has to be at least 10 feet from the house and 3 feet from the fences, basically. And set on some sort of concrete foundation, which is engineered. And any electrical work, any plumbing work, et cetera, that's done, is gonna have to be done, permitted and inspected and done to code, so. And our city manager, Joe Price, is back here. If there's any ideas about making some changes to the ordinances, you know, that's something that could be discussed. Maybe start with, public comment with the city commission and move forward with that. Be glad to look at it with P&Z and make some changes. But at this point, I've got some, I printed up just our accessory building handouts here, if anybody's looking to take a look at. But it simply mentions sizes and heights and setbacks. Good question.
Any questions of the board that don't have any additional questions?
So I just want to be clear, it's aesthetically, there's no regulations against it, correct?
That's true.
That's correct.
There's some maximum height restrictions with 16-foot walls, 1,200-foot footprint, and in any other buildings, it could be no more buildings other than that, just one building over 200 square foot per lot. He's got one, I don't know what size it is, but his plan shows to be removed. But, you know, there are really no aesthetics within that ordinance.
The Mary Ellen, Brant, Joan?
Yes?
I keep going back to what James Hartman always says about hardship.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like for the board to understand that that request for variance has hardship has a lot to do with whether a variance is granted or not.
I'm ready to make a motion if we're through.
I've got a question. If this was just to be a storage building only type situation, would there even be a need for a variance?
Not as long as it met the setback requirements.
Okay, so
as that building sits right now, the size of it, there's no issues. It would have to be moved to a point as he's
right,
drawn.
to do the offsets. But other than that,
you're correct.
Okay, so the crux of the matter is this an office or is it a storage building?
Correct.
Now, what's the exact definition of an office? I call my storage building, my shop, an office. Do y'all have a computer in there? No. I just want to make sure we're all clear on what the definition of an office is, exactly. I spend a lot of time in my shop. I have children, it's kind of hard to focus. I have to draw blueprints for, we'll have to do orders for work, things like that, so I do call it my office. Although I don't technically do business there. On some of my payment of the office, I just got to get away for a little bit and kind of do my duties, I guess, yeah. Kind of work away from work, I guess, yeah.
It's on your agenda.
Correct, I saw it on there, but I wanted to make sure everybody else was clear on exactly what the office was and which to me an office is a place of business, somewhere where you're conducting business, you're having visitors, you're having clients that will come in and out.
It's associated with your business.
Correct.
Since I can't see who's speaking, who is that?
Oh, Johnny.
Johnny was speaking last.
Johnny, I was the one who was speaking just now. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
There you go.
You got multiple tabs.
Do you have internet to that building you're talking about?
At my house, no, ma'am, I do not have a Wi-Fi extender that extends to that building. That way I didn't have to run any power or anything like that to my building.
Danny, is there anything in the description of a home office or a storage building that we can put the requirement on it would not be able to have a Wi-Fi extender or internet?
No. I can read to you what the accessory building definition is. In a residential district, a subordinate building attached or detached for use for a purpose customarily incidental to the main structure, such as a private garage or automobile storage, tool house, lab, greenhouse, or as a hobby, not a business, home workshop, children's playhouse, storage house, garden shelter, but not involving the conduct of a business. That's the extent of our definition of accessory building.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, will there be any financial transactions conducted in the storage building?
No, there won't be any financial, no. I can't see any, I can't see any reason why there would be.
Okay, Joan, you were gonna make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we do not grant this variance.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
The motion.
So there's a motion to not accept the variance and a second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mark, as I understand that decision of the board, any sort of office use in that storage building would not be allowed. Does that make sense? Is that an agreement with everybody? Am I making a correct statement?
Correct.
Okay, is there any other business at this time? Call this meeting adjourned.
Gentlemen, thank you. Have a good evening, gentlemen. And you can see me about as far as the storage unit, we'll have to take a review closely and we can move forward with getting your engineering documentation to us.
Danny, I think I'm just gonna move it. I didn't want to create all this. I think I'm just gonna move it. So, I'll come see you about something else.
Okay.
Back there, but I think I'm just gonna move it. I didn't want all this.
Didn't either, but
I didn't want all this. So, I'll just move it. It's my neighborhood. So, I'll come see you about it. I'll come see you about another building.
All right. I
Okay,
appreciate
you
it
bet.
very much.
Thank you.
You bet.
I can send you a draft shipping container ordinance when you're ready.
I'll help you write it.
I already did. I've already
did?
written one.
I appreciate it. I thank you.
Well,
She's
thanks,
good.
Danny.
Her sister's a private
You all right?
They're right now.
They are?
Yeah.
Been on the road early this morning? You have to get out this morning?
Well, yeah, hopefully it works.
Did you know that? What was that?
These shipping containers, they're fast.
Yeah, they're like little tiny houses. That was my initial concern, was what is it, like an Airbnb, or is it gonna be like an office where he does business out of, cause that'll put traffic on the street. But if he wasn't gonna do that,
If it was me, I'd say, hey, go in.
I am a little bit of a live and let live kind of person, I just, I watched too much episodes of Fear Thy Neighbor, I don't wanna come. I never even thought an ad, I just thought, I mean, it's
We had a lot of
That's not-
those when I was
That's
at
your-
work.
that's
No,
your-
we also
I don't know
shipping
they-
containers.
no, we haven't
For
done
moving
that.
purposes, so
Yeah.
people
You know,
put
something
it
else
too
you
long,
can- I can
wouldn't
remember that.
move them.
Oh,
It
like
should
the
be granted,
lawn
yeah.
things,
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially if you
Yeah.
have a,
Exactly.
especially if you have
Yeah,
a
so
front
I
yard,
think
front.
Yes, and they
Oh,
plop in
yeah.
there
But
and
then
then, yeah.
you're the neighbor trying to back
It
out
was,
to see
it was
down.
terrible
I
up
could
there.
tell.
Well,
You can't see around them.
He went through
Oh.
the issues with
These pictures are not representative of how it
Well,
looks.
No.
Not right now.
And you know he's not gonna do that.
I mean,
They're just not gonna
that's
do
not how
that.
it
They're-
looks. It's this.
They're cheap and they're easy to replace, you
Yeah.
don't have to build them.
That's what
Well,
held me
and
back
I'm looking
from
at
housing
them,
out
she's
there.
very, she's got the worst view.
Or you're gonna have to say yes.
I'm looking at this, but that's it.
That's it. And I see that, Debbie Reese thinks it's bad.
You do.
And me, I'm
Aesthetically, it
just
even doesn't
fenced right
make any
behind it.
difference one way or another.
So it sort of makes my yard feel a little bit closed in, but
Well, and what I was
other
gonna
than
ask
that,
you
This is not a
to
good
do,
way to
if
get
the
one
grant got granted the variance, was build a 10-foot fence. So obviously don't have to, yeah, on all sides, so people don't, your neighbors don't have to see it.
We only do 8.
Using it as a-
Or whatever.
yeah.
Well, then I'd ask for a variance.
Yeah,
Then
then-
I'd get another variance. Then I'd say, hey,
Well, since you know so much about variance.
yeah, well, because I sat on this board.
Hey, Wiley, will you,
Oh.
meeting, if somebody said there's a frame, comics can, near the back.
No problem.
I know, and I think Dave Hoff, you know, I think Dave says it is.
Set in on them.
Okay.
And you can see it.
It's clearly sitting there, there's nothing like, Dory's talking about there, and actually hanging over her fence.
Everything's settled.
I think that's where he plans to be.
I think so.
He was willing to move, he's been very cooperative throughout the whole
I think,
process.
yeah.
It's hard to keep that focus, okay, it's
A lot
not
of the guys are starting to.
about an
realize
accessory
that,
building, it's about that office.
Running more medical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not gonna,
And if you couldn't delineate between the two, how can we say yes?
Non-habitable space, that's open sort of type color.
Exactly.
Here's your list of items you can use the accessory building, that's not one of them.
Mhm.
Whether you say I want to do business or not, the home office is not about it.
It's not, it's not defined as storage.
And before there was only 6 people, so we weren't worried. Now we got 100 or 200 or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's just, that's pretty slow.
Absolutely.
It is.
Put those on.
Yeah, God, when you get, appreciate you.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Well, my son told me, he said, you do not need to be
Or
making
these medical calls.
Connie
still doing it?
Yeah, me too.
No, no, I
Still brand and a fat right now, because they're cheap and they're easy to just.
Well, we've
Bring
had,
in doing a lot of
we've had people
dispatch.
calling and talk about doing home, stacking containers, you know. Not
All right,
against
well,
this,
stay well.
we need to have some.
Doesn't need to be in a residential
Sleep
neighborhood.
on it. We need to have
Don't go out
something
there.
that's gonna look good.
Yeah.
Well, tonight's actually.
Well, the big thing we were having issues with these comments, in the
You're really
lots,
on tonight.
especially if you have a
Good
front
luck, be
garage,
careful.
front garage.
Thanks for what you do.
Pulling out. Hey, Wiley, good to see you, man.
Well, you did a great job.
Yeah,
Appreciate
really,
you.
great leadership.
Yeah, very good. Stepped in well. Of course, it was a small crowd, went well, they were farming,
Yeah.
way through darts, so. You did a great job, appreciate you.
Okay. Well, talk to y'all later.
All right,
See you, Wally.
sir. Good evening. So,
We're having
you and I
this-
talked about your conics, I mean, as far as your conics, what, a summary of what does it look like?
Well, I put it into two parts. There's the moving side, the moving container side, and then there's the permanent structure side. And so we incorporated everything because like I was saying, we were having issues with people.
Pods
People were
coming
bringing
in.
pods and they didn't have a front driveway. And so they put them in there. Well, people, if I was your neighbor, I would have a hell of a time trying to back out into the street. But if I was going or even pulling out.
So your issue with temporary permits, I guess, for those?
Yep, unless they had a moving permit. You know, if they had some kind of moving permit or a renovation